look at the tree. It looks so good. And the reason I'm starting off this vlog with you guys looking at the tree is because my face looks like this. Hey, hello, it's Christmas time. Maybe not by the time this video goes up, but I don't care. And one thing that I said that I wanted to do specifically at Christmas time was to reread Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. And I've kind of been waiting to reread this like all year. This is like the beautiful Ravenclaw edition because ya bitch is a Ravenclaw. Elephant in the room being that everyone does hate JK Rowling right now. Like she's just an inexcusably bad human being. She's one of those kind of reclusive authors who just isn't reclusive enough, do you know what I mean? So yeah, I have already disliked her a lot as a person for a while. I am trying to separate the art from the artist. I knew kind of at the start of the year that I really wanted to reread this at some point. I really want to reread all of the Harry Potter series because it's been a long time since I've read them. And I really love the films. I really enjoy the films and I've seen them many times, especially over Christmas. I've watched so much Harry Potter over the past few weeks. And I used to read the books like all the time as a kid, but I figured enough time has passed that I want to revisit a childhood favourite and just kind of see what I thought about it. I know a lot of people have already done videos like this. This is absolutely by no means any sort of original idea. I just kind of want to do like a reading vlog kind of specific to this book. I really don't remember a lot about it. I remember like little snippets and like quotes here and there and things, and obviously I remember the story pretty well. But I don't remember the book itself that well. It's been over 10 years since I've last read this book. It's definitely due for a reread, and it's Harry Potter, so it's so short, so I can absolutely read this in like less than a day. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna sit and read this, and that's it. This could be a really boring vlog, but who knows? Okay, so I'm only a few pages in. I'd forgotten just how much of the beginning was just all about the Dursleys. I remembered it started with them because like you don't forget the first line of Harry Potter, you just don't. I had forgotten just how much was just like just them, but I kind of stopped because I know obviously the first book is going to be a lot more like whimsical because it's very much for children, whereas the older books got a little bit more serious. But Vernon Dursley literally has like wizards in cloaks in the street coming up to him and hugging him and being like, rejoice, you know who has gone. Even muggles like yourself should be celebrating. And I'm just like, statute of secrecy whomst? I know that this is kind of excused by like, oh yeah, wizards are celebrating, it's like a joyous day, etc. But like, you'd think after just hearing about the downfall of Lord Voldemort, you maybe wouldn't expose the entire wizarding world to muggles by like calling them muggles and telling them what's going on and just like actively just being out on the streets. You'd think maybe, I don't know, go to the Leaky Cauldron for a pint. Don't hug Vernon Dursley. Like, that's a bad move even if you're not a wizard. Oh, interesting. So I guess the Deluminator was originally called the Put Outer? I honestly don't remember reading about it, even in like the later books. I just remember it from the films. So like, is it always called the Put Outer in books and is it just the Deluminator in films, or is it just like a change of name? Because Deluminator was maybe not the best word for a child. I just don't remember it being called that in the first book, but sure. I have to say, even though like the character descriptions are different in the books to the films, I'm still picturing just the characters from the films because it's like they're all so iconic. Yeah, I'm assuming I'm gonna be doing that all the way through the series, like, because I just can't not. It's just so heavily ingrained into my brain that like those are the characters. It's gonna sound weird, but obviously the Dursleys don't like Harry and they abuse him like a fair bit, not too severely, but like enough. There's a lot of like emotional abuse there. They're gonna be taking Dudley to the zoo, and I'd forgotten that the reason that they take Harry is because Mrs. Fig has broken her leg and nobody else can take him, so they have to take him because like they don't want to leave him alone in the house because they don't trust him, and they don't want to leave him alone in the car park because they don't trust him. And I'm just like, I know this is gonna sound like kind of bad, but why didn't the Dursleys just like lock him out of the house and be like, right, you can play out all day, see you later? Like, it's not an ideal situation, and it's pretty cruel of them to do, but I just feel like it's the kind of thing that they would do, rather than being like, well, I guess we have to bring him to the zoo. I know it's a children's book, but also... Okay, hey, Itney. Yeah, okay, so I just got to a line that says something like, Harry spends as much time out of the house as possible so that he's, like, away from Dudley, and I'm just, again, questioning why the Dursleys didn't just leave him outside for the day instead of being at the zoo, because it's not like they care for his safety very much. Okay, so I don't think I'm going to record, like, any more live reading, because I don't think I'm going to have any, like, shocked reactions, because I know everything that's going to happen. I think this is just going to be an interesting experience. I don't think you're going to get any, like, good live reactions of me, so I'm just going to do updates from now, I think, rather than, like, a live vlog thing. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Hey, so I read a little bit further and I completely forgot that, like, the first kid that Harry meets, like, in Diagon Alley is Malfoy. Yeah, I'd completely forgotten the scene where they're, like, getting tried on for robes. When I read it, I was like, yeah, I have a vague recollection of this, but, like, it's not like other scenes where I'm like, oh yeah, I remember this, I remember this, I remember this. Like, this one, I just don't remember. I think it's because I've just blocked Malfoy out of my head. Probably as a child, just for, like, very good. I was probably just like, oh, not another Malfoy scene. I just blocked it out of my head as a kid. So yeah, no memory of the first time Harry meets, like, his rival. Priorities. Okay, so this might be a weird observation, but I think I've noticed that there's, like, a little bit more fat phobia in this book than I kind of remembered. And it's mostly directed at, like, Vernon and Dudley, who are obviously overweight. And they're both bad characters, and it's kind of really hard for me to tell. It's hard to tell whether or not it's saying, like, oh, it's a bad thing to be fat, so you can, like, dislike this character for being fat. Or whether it's just, like, no, they're a very dislikable character, and so every mention of them is always negative, including the fact that they are also fat, just by default. It's rubbing me the wrong way a little bit, but because the writing is so simplistic, it's really hard to get any sort of, like, nuance from it. I just find myself, every time it mentions their weight, I'm just kind of like, okay, I get it. Can we just move on from it? I just really need them to get to Hogwarts at this point. Like, it's Christmassy, and I just need them to be at Hogwarts. Hello, I have changed seating positions so that I'm next to the tree. So Harry and Ron have just met, and it was quite sweet, actually. It was a bit sweeter than I remember. Obviously, like, Harry's kind of really going out of his way to make Ron feel comfortable, and he's like, oh, I'll swap you a sandwich for, like, a chocolate frog and everything. Like, rather than trying to, like, give him charity, he's, like, actually being like, oh, we can swap something. It's just really sweet the way that he does it, and that, like, they share all the sweets. Harry's, like, actually excited to have a friend to, like, share things with, and I'm like, it's very sweet on both parts. I like that. Like, it's a good, solid start, like a good foundation to, like, why they became friends, and I'm like, I appreciate that. I guess I am repping, like, the red hair at the moment, so, like, I've got my Weasley pride going on. Okay, further update, I'm just short of, like, 150 pages in, and it's Snape's first lesson. I have been noticing all the way through, again, before anybody says, I know this is a children's book, however, I don't remember, like, just the writing and the dialogue being this, like, very simple and, like, very bland and just very kind of cringe. It just feels like none of the characters really have that much personality when they speak, at least in these books. In fact, they don't speak, there's not that much dialogue to begin with. Like, Harry doesn't even speak that much for, like, a protagonist. I'm reading it and, like, I'm enjoying the whole Hogwarts thing, and, like, it's very easy to read, but, like, I'm not actually enjoying the book, which is weird. Like, I have this nostalgia for it, but I'm not actually enjoying what I'm reading at this point, because I'm just kind of like, the descriptions are, the way that Rowling describes visually everything, I can't remember any specific thing at the moment. They're all really weird. Again, I know it's a children's book, so it is a bit, like, whimsical and out there. I like the world and everything, and obviously I have this fond remembrance of it, but I think a lot of that is coloured with, like, what I know from the later books. So, like, I'm filling in a lot of gaps in my head while reading this. Like, I know what this looks like, and I know what this does, and I know what that does, and so on and so forth. A lot of the stuff that I know from, like, the later books and even the films is kind of, I have all this extra knowledge, so, like, when I'm reading this, it makes it feel like I don't know, it makes the book feel more full, I think, than it does. But if I knew absolutely nothing about it and I just read this book, I would be like, I do not get the hype. Because honestly, reading this book, I'm actually thinking as I read it, I'm like, this actually got popular. Like, and I know from the later books, because again, I love Harry Potter, I really do. But reading this book, I'm like, how? Because it's not that good, which is shocking. Like, I thought that I knew it wouldn't be like a 5-star book for me, because again, it's a children's book, and so I figured it might get like a 4 stars based on like the nostalgia factor and everything. But like right now, I'm kind of like, oh, it's looking kind of grim. Hey, I moved upstairs to my room so that now I'm in my bed. So I am nice and comfortable. I'm not having like the best time reading this. It's entertaining enough because it's Harry Potter, but also I'm like, everything just feels really like shallow and two-dimensional at the moment. And I know it's because it's a children's book, I know. However, other booktubers that I've watched where they've reread Harry Potter, they're like, oh yeah, obviously it's 5 out of 5 stars because it's Harry Potter. And I'm like, it's objectively not that good of a book. Like, even for a children's book, like, I know the series and the world and like, you know, as a whole, the phenomena of Harry Potter as a whole, like all the books, I'm like, yeah, okay, as a series, maybe, I get it. But as an individual book, if you were reading this, say it came out today, and this was your first instance of ever knowing anything about Harry Potter, obviously, and you just read it, I do not think people would give it 5 stars. I really don't. Like, I think everyone's vision is clouded by, like, how great the series gets overall, as a whole, and, like, how much fun it is, like, as a whole thing. But this book, honestly, it's really not doing it for me, and I'm really sad to say that. Like, I don't know why. I remember it so fondly, I remember it so well, and, like, I don't know, before I made this, I'm thinking, like, yeah, Harry Potter might be one of like my highest rated books of the year because it's Harry freaking Potter, but this is just, oh, it's kind of sad. Again, I know it's weird because it's like, I am not the target audience, but I also am the target audience because like I love Harry Potter and I'm one of those people where I love to like absorb everything Harry Potter, and the original like series, those 7 books, I really do love them. But now I'm starting to question, now it's a case of actually, what point do they actually get good? Because I know the last books, I'm thinking, if I had to guess, Chamber of Secrets has always been my least favourite one. So like, it's really not looking good for book 2 right now. I'm kind of dreading moving on and reading that. But it's at the point now where I'm like, when did it get good? Because my gut instinct is to say Prisoner of Azkaban, because that's kind of when it got a little bit darker. But also, I think book 3, and maybe even book 4, are when it's still a little bit childish. End of book 4 is kind of like where the series starts getting like cohesive as one long story from like start to finish almost. Yeah, for the most part. It's just, this was supposed to be like my little Christmas treat to myself. I'm like, I'm gonna read this, it's gonna bump up my Goodreads reading goal, and it's gonna be great. But now I'm just like, it's really not that great. Okay, I've just read the Quidditch chapter. There's a lot to unpack here. Hagrid's saying that nothing can interfere with a broomstick except powerful dark magic, and I'm like, really? So you can't like just casually jinx a broom, I guess? Just doesn't seem to, like, what is special about broomsticks? Because you can jinx a lot of stuff, you can like curse a lot of stuff, but like, does it specifically have to be like powerful dark magic? Because you'd think that, you know, you might be able to like, you know, mildly prank a broomstick. The bit that really got me is just like the end of the Quidditch. It's so sudden. Harry's able to get back onto his broom, then he's speeding towards the ground, he claps his hand to his mouth, he hits the pitch, and then he's got the snitch. And it's that fast, and I'm just like, it just felt a bit anticlimactic to read. Again, because I think having seen it in the film, it might have like tainted my memory of it being, you would have thought that it would have been written like, he gets back on his broom, sees the snitch, attempts to get the snitch, then you have the whole fall, catch it in your mouth sort of reveal thing. Because at this, it's he gets on his broom and then he's speeding towards the ground in a dive immediately with like nothing in between that, and it's like, oh, okay, I guess that's just how the Quidditch ends then. Sure. I also feel really bad for the way that Harry talks to Hagrid sometimes. I realise that like, he just seems like such a petulant little ass of a child sometimes when he's like tricking Hagrid or getting one over on him, like to do with getting information out of him or something. I don't know, it's like Hagrid lets slip about Flamel and Harry's like, aha, so there's someone called Nicholas Flamel involved, is there? And I'm just like, Harry, don't be mean to like this very sweet giant man who only has your best interests at heart. Like, stop being a brat. You can really tell I'm an adult reading this. Okay, hi, hello. So, it's been about another hour and I finished the book. I didn't bother checking in again because I was like, look, I'm just gonna get to the end of this, and like, oh, there was so much that I was like, this is how it was executed. It was just, it's not... I must have been remembering this for years with like such rose-tinted glasses, because guess whose camera died? It was mine. So that means you have to put up with this phone camera, which the one thing I don't like about my phone camera is it tries to follow my face and it just makes the footage look so jerky, and I hate it, and I don't know how to turn it off because I can't remember looking in the settings. Anyway, yeah, I definitely have a slightly different memory of this book, I guess, being better than it was. And I mean, I must have enjoyed it as a kid, but then I did see the first movie before reading the first book as a kid. So I guess even as a kid, maybe I was just like filling in the blanks where there wasn't enough substance. It's not a bad book. Like, it's okay for a children's book. It's just, it's written so simply. I don't know what like the target audience is. I would have assumed that with Harry Potter being what, like 10, 11 years old, it's his 11th birthday when he goes to Hogwarts. So I'm thinking if you're like around the age of like 10, 11, that's the audience for the book. But it's written, it's almost like it's written for somebody who's like 4 or 5 years old. It's so simple, and I'm just like the dialogue is so bland. So yeah, it's weird. There was a lot that I'd forgotten. I remember the centaur, but I don't remember. I'd forgotten that it was Bane and Firenze and forgotten the third one already. Yeah, the whole Snape and Quirrell thing, I was like, it's one of those where like once you know the twist and you go back and read it, it's like, I'm not gonna, it's a kid's book, I'm not gonna rag on it, it's fine, just whatever. Oh, I actually have sleep in my eye. That is how long I've been reading this. The trials, I completely forgot about the troll, because obviously it's already defeated, so they just like walk past it. I'd completely forgotten that part. They all felt very easy, I guess, and obviously I know they're meant to be because it's like, it's a kid's book and it's like, oh, that's how you get past the keys, and that's how you get past like the chessboard, you can play chess. I think it's just like obviously knowing some of the like better magic that's later in the series, with like the sort of weird shit that happens in like the Ministry and like the Department of Mysteries and stuff. It's like there are obviously a lot of like, there's a lot of other powerful magic you can use to keep people out of places and stuff, and like, I don't know, if you were trying to protect the Philosopher's Stone, it's like, ho ho ho, let's have a fun little riddle where you guess bottles, and it's like, a muggle could work it out. That's why Hermione's good at working it out, because she's a muggle. And it's like, I know that that's the point, because like, oh, some wizards don't have logic, but also if you're trying to steal the freaking Philosopher's Stone, I don't know, maybe put something in there that isn't just, you have to duel a troll. You have to find the right key and put it in the door. Does it really matter that they all had wings? I don't really know. You've got to play a game of chess. It's not that difficult, because 3 11-year-olds literally did it. And like, again, I know it's the only trial that was kind of worth anything was literally just Dumbledore's at the end with the mirror, and it's kind of like everything else is kind of pointless, because it's like, if you're trying to protect the stone from potential very dark forces, maybe assume they know how to solve a riddle. That one's on the teachers. I'm sorry. Also, I want to know if that was like Snape's little potion challenge. Did he write that little poem himself? Was he like, oh, I wonder how I can make this rhyme? It seems very out of character. But like, I appreciate that, but in a way that it doesn't seem right. Oh, yeah, okay, look, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's a kid's book, and I'm not a kid. I'm just disappointed that it's so much worse than I remember it. And, like, it's not bad. There are definitely other books that I read at around a similar age that I'm sure were written so much better than this. Part of me is wondering now in my head if I should go back and reread a lot more of my childhood favourites. Because maybe they're all shit. Oh, this is an interesting development. Like, it's fine. It's fine. And there was a lot of stuff that I forgot, and like I'm quite glad that I reread it. So yeah, kind of devastating to realise that I don't enjoy this as much as I used to. I can't see myself rereading this first book again, or like at least for a very long time. Some people I'm sure will read it to their children. I will never have any, so don't need to worry about that. I'm kind of dreading reading Chamber of Secrets because I remember not liking the book that much because I was just like, oh, this is just filler, and like it's my least favourite movie of all the movies as well. So I'm wondering if the writing will be better. I don't know. Perhaps I will film myself reading that one as well. I'm interested to see like how I feel about it. But yeah, it's been weird. It's kind of been fun to like go through and like see what I was right about, see what I did remember and didn't remember, because like there was a lot that I did not remember, and I definitely know that as the books go on, there's going to be like a weird black spot in there because it's like these are the ones that I read the longest time ago, and the later books I read most recently, so I might remember more of them. However, I read the first ones several times and the later ones not as much, so maybe I'll remember less. Who knows? I'm interested to see what else I've forgotten, and I do still love Harry Potter, and I really just want to get to that point in the series where I'm actually enjoying the books for like being books again, because I'm sure some of the later ones definitely have the potential to be like really good books, because I remember them being really good. And again, I remember this being really good, and I'm really disappointed. It doesn't really taint the book for me. It's like, I've never thought of J.K. Rowling as a particularly good writer. I think she was a good storyteller, but not a good writer. I think there is a distinction there, at least for me. She's a shit human being though, so like, I don't even feel bad saying that. Yeah, this was an interesting experiment, and it wasn't even really an experiment, I was just reading a fucking book, like. But yeah, wow, Harry Potter, not as great as I remember. Sad times. I'm gonna go now, so bye.